Feng Zia, the game emperor, crossed the line during the game and entered another world. He is too insidious, fraught with threats, intrigues, and danger. There are wonderful men in this world. Feng Zia's abilities are too strong and he can take away the opponent's skills. The action takes place in the kingdom of Kailan. A dark-haired young man stands in front of a cloudy, misty soldier and asks why he, a mere mortal, has to fight with such things and that he has no choice and must make him calm down. The young man punches the soldier with his fist and creates a glowing ball, saying that this time he really got this kind of him. He squeezes the ball and says that his strength has now increased. A white-haired and yellow-eyed man appears and says that, to his surprise, Feng Zia has dealt with the soldier and asks if the caretaker sent him here. The young man says that he is mistaken and he has just come here and does not know any caretaker. The man shouts that he is not talking nonsense, because the spirit of the abandoned valley has not yet opened it. He asks how Feng Zia got here if he doesn't know the caretaker. The god who left the old earth was sealed, ancestor of sea dust. The yellow-eyed man asks the young man for a clear explanation of his appearance here. He asks him to tell his origin, first name and last name, and calls for a cloudy, foggy soldier. Feng Zia thinks that even if he tells about his identity, he won't believe him. His name is Feng Zia. He is a popular player of mobile strategy games, known as the Liver Emperor, relies on electricity production, has tens of thousands of fans and a monthly income of more than 100 yuan. His career is thriving, but he was careless when playing one mobile game. Feng Zia wakes up in the forest among creatures that look like spiders and thinks that these things are clearly not happy about his appearance. Strong and fit, hepatic from head to toe, showed the best result in the world, 50 meters in 12 seconds. But it's impossible to escape the claws of monsters at 18. The brunette waves his hands and shouts that he will really die from the claws of small spiders while trying to create a male character. Fortunately, this world has a conscience, and it is possible to reject enemies with the attribute of light. Feng Zia stands surrounded by glowing balls and carefully examines them, trying to touch them. Different properties of light groups have different effects. The light called poison made it easy to get rid of the heat. The light essence of vivacity strengthened his body. The light speed has successfully updated the record for a 50-meter race. In all the pictures, Feng Zia is fighting monsters. The young man runs away from them and shouts that the stinking spiders are coming after him again, and if they chase him, then he. The brunette suddenly stops and asks where the fog is coming from. A white-haired man appears and shouts that the ancestor's whole life's work was destroyed by him. Feng Zia asks who his elder was and that he only trampled a few spiders here, seeing nothing wrong with it. The yellow-eyed man says that the young man does not know how important these spiders are and suddenly shouts that his ancestor has not seen meat for 3,000 years and just wants to fry spiders and eat them, and he spent 50 years on this nest of black jade spiders. The brunette waves his hands. He does not know how he met this amazing man and does not know how he got here in a dream. But then he was beaten without explanation. Feng Zia thinks that after absorbing the cloud soldier's light, he began to feel that the white-haired man's attack was less harmful to him and that the principle is the same. The white-haired man is floating in the air, 2 cloud soldiers are hanging in front of him, and Feng Zia thinks that when faced with them, he must fight. He strikes and shouts his name. The man recoils. The young man says that pensioners should learn. He boasts and rejoices at the victory, but admits to himself that he is in a panic. Yellow-eyed thinks what will happen if the ancestor takes this young man, gifted with strength and spiritual energy. He does not see the light balls and thinks that Feng Zia's brain is not working very well. The white-haired man takes the young man by the chin and says that the ancestor thinks that his spiritual energy is different from others and he wants to pass on world-class knowledge to him. The man asks if Feng Zia will be his successor. The brunette thinks that here he is, a systematic approach, and after passing the exam, the Celestial will make him rich. According to the general history of passing games, he can dominate in an alien world by learning unique skills. The white-haired one says that the unique name of this teaching is 3 floating dreams, and as soon as the perfection is completed, the soul becomes indestructible, dreams come true, you can distort reality, and change your body. Feng Zia happily shouts that he will study and asks the elder to teach him right now. Yellow-eyed thinks that this child is really easy to deceive and says that the ancestor will give him the teaching of 3 floating dreams. And, touching the forehead of the brunette, says that he will put him to sleep and he will wake up when he learns everything. Feng Zia falls into a black void with multicolored fragments and says that this is really a fairy tale world. Rectangles with the inscription 3 floating dreams appear around it. The young man touches one of them, thinking that if it is also an attribute of light. The white-haired man holds a yellow talisman in his hand. and says that the ancestor made a total of 12 mistakes in the teaching of 3 floating dreams and that his soul should be caught in an unfinished practice, and he will be able to defeat him. Feng Zia begins to wake up and Yellow-Eyed is horrified that he has woken up. The young man says that he understood everything. The white-haired man asks what he understood. Feng Zia says that 3 floating dreams has a total of 12 heavy levels, and after each the power of magic power increases, and that 12 magic powers can open the way to becoming a celestial. Yellow-Eyed thinks that the ancestor created the 3 floating dreams and he himself divided it into 9 levels. He does not think that this child could understand everything. He is just trying to deceive him. The white-haired man says that since Feng Zia understood everything himself, the ancestor will enter a special purple space between his eyebrows to check it out. The brunette slaps his fist on his palm. The white-haired man touches Feng Zia's forehead again and tells him to close his eyes. A lot of purple cubes appear, and the young man admiringly asks if this is the space and how it will be tested. Yellow-Eyed thinks that such purple spaces are rare for mortals, and could he really understand everything? He tells the brunette to attack him to check what he has learned. Feng Zia objects and says that he has just realized that if he cannot restrain his power. The white-haired man interrupts him and says that now his body is not quite ordinary and partly consists of the primordial spirit. But this incarnation is comparable to the kingdom of deity in the 8th heaven, and he is a mere mortal gifted with divine power, and there's nothing to worry about. Feng Zia creates a powerful flow of energy and hits the man with it. There is an explosion. He happily shouts that this is an ability he has learned. The smoke begins to dissipate, and the young man calls the elder, not understanding where he has gone. Yellow-Eyed, standing behind him, thinks that the avatar that has just been destroyed will have to be restored for decades. He will have to look for a new avatar, and he should explore the full power of the brunette as soon as possible. He tells the young man that he is standing right behind him, and he joyfully shouts that his speed is really high, and in fact he hit here. The white-haired man says that his blow was too weak and now he needs to hit with full force. Feng Zia agrees and thinks that the elder is really a kind-hearted person, as he leads him step by step and he must justify his trust. The yellow-eyed man asks why his expression has become so disgusting. Feng Zia swings and says that this is his strongest blow and asks to take it. He creates translucent flowers in the air, and the white-haired man looks at them with his mouth open. There is a strong explosion. When the smoke begins to dissipate, the young man looks around and says that the elder is not visible again. And if he was able to avoid this blow, then he deserves to be called the elder. A white-haired man appears from behind and stretches his hand to Feng Zia's head, thinking that he can only win by force. The white-haired man reaches for the young man's head and begins to flare up. He is horrified to think that this child is unlikely to have been perfected. But then why is the ancestor's incarnation being absorbed as spiritual energy? Feng Zia turns around and says that he has flared up behind again. He sees a shrunken white-haired man and asks why he has become like this, lifting him in his arms. Yellow-eyed thinks it's his fault. They move into the forest, and the young man says that they have returned to where it all began. The white-haired man thinks that the consecutive loss of 3 avatars sharply lowered the strength, and not only did he have to leave the purple space, but the illusion also dissipated. Feng Zia asks if he passed the test. The yellow-eyed man shouts that he has passed and asks to let him go, since the embrace of 2 adult men is disgusting. The young man says that the elder is too worried and he is not going to do anything in his direction, since he loves barefoot girls with big breasts and long hair. The white-haired man shows his tongue and complains about the vulgar generation. Feng Zia creates a flower and asks the elder to evaluate the strength of his reception. The man asks him not to be so stupid. Feng Zia didn't know then that the practice of 3 floating dreams had an extremely strong effect on spiritual beings. A black figure appears in the bushes behind the men. They turn around, and a bird flies out of the brunette's head, and hearts appear in his eyes. A barefoot girl with big breasts and long black hair comes out of the bushes. Feng Zia happily shouts that the girl really came out. The white-haired man thinks that he has spent 3,000 years on the ancient earth that God left, and he sees for the first time how the monster became a humanoid. Feng Zia runs to the girl and shouts that his love has appeared in places and that he will finally be able to know his first love. The brunette hits him in the face, and the young man shouts that this girl has a really disgusting character. She screams that she will kill him and rushes to attack. Feng Zia says that domestic violence is wrong, and, having created a flower, asks not to force him to do it. The girl whispers that it's terrible and that they are strong. The brunette creates a web. The young man calls her Spider-Man. The white-haired one asks him not to talk nonsense. Suddenly, the girl runs away and shouts that she will come back when she gets stronger. Feng Zia asks what she is going to do and why she is running away. Yellow-eyed replies that it's probably because the young man captured a nest of spiders and she decided to take revenge. And it's an instinct to run away from an enemy who is stronger than you. The ground starts to shake. Feng Zia asks what the sudden situation is again. The white-haired one says that this ancient earth is being launched from the very beginning. Under the highest peak of the ancient earth, the mountain splits in two, a portal appears in it, from which 3 people come out. The lilac-haired young man happily says that this is an ancient land and they did it after all. The pink-haired girl says that this is very good, calling the young man a mentor brother. He shouts that the ancient books did not lie and every 3,600 years the entrance to the ancient earth opens. Addressing his companions, the young man says that now they have the opportunity to revive the Chengchu Valley. The white-haired one says that some people have entered the ancient land. Feng Zia asks if they are treasure hunters. The man tells him not to be an idiot, because no spiritual being would want to look for treasures in such an isolated place. What heavenly or earthly treasures? There are only black jade spiders from living beings here. The white-haired man waves chopsticks with meat and says that he has not touched meat for 3,000 years and today he finally got lucky. Feng Zia looks at him skeptically and asks if he really wants to eat it. The man shouts that he should not devalue this taste of the highest quality, and that after roasting it is the same as a crab from the eastern seas. The young man is surprised that there are still people in the world who really like such things. Half an hour later, they both eat spiders, and Feng Zia says it's really delicious. The white-haired man says he wasn't lying. The young man offers him to leave this land with him, since it is so deserted. Spider-Girl declares that he will not be able to leave and snatches food from the men's hands. Feng Zia shouts that she said she would only come back when she sews harder and somehow it's too fast and she's not playing by the rules. Yellow-eyed shouts that she probably can't wait to die, since she allowed herself to grab the ancestors' food. He rushes at the spider with a cry. The brunette tries to stop him and holds him in place, asking the girl what she meant when she said that the ancestor could not leave this place. The spider replies that he is sealed here and only the one who sealed him can release him, or a person stronger than that. But it must be a very outstanding person. Feng Zia says that she said that it is necessary to become a celestial for this and asks how to do it. The white-haired man says that he does not know what he is talking about and tells that his peak period was the kingdom of Shen Kaio in the 3rd heaven, which is 1,000 miles from Chengshen. Feng Zia asks what is the kingdom of Shen Kaio. The yellow-eyed man shouts that he does not know elementary things, but wants to become a celestial. He says that spirituality is divided into 8 spheres, which become more complicated with each level, and that you can count on your fingers the people who have reached the heavenly bridge. Feng Zia admires that the white-haired man has reached the sky bridge and is really strong. The man says that he has not reached the heavenly bridge and he is super strong, since 1 year was enough for him to laugh at the whole continent, and no one can compare with him. The spider says that it was in the past, and now he is trapped and can't do anything. Feng Zia hugs the elder, who mutters that this girl says truly heartbreaking things and asks him not to be discouraged, as he helped him a lot and he should thank him twice. He says that he will reach the level of a celestial and let his account be blocked. He will still save his elder. The spider says that one and the other only know how to brag and throws a wand at them. They dodge. Those who have come to the ancient land appear. A pink-haired girl hugs a lilac-haired guy and says that he got a chance to get to the ancient land and will definitely reach the kingdom of Kailun in this round. He replies that their main goal is the future of the Chengchu Valley. The second guy with a ponytail thinks that a fellow student sister is not behaving as usual today. A spider's wand flies into the forehead of the lilac-haired one. The guy with the ponytail shouts that it's a hidden weapon. The purple-haired one says they shouldn't panic and that it looks like a bamboo stick. Feng Zia says that these guys came from outside. The white-haired man laughs at the fact that they want to reach the kingdom of Kailun and says that they made him laugh to death. The guy with the ponytail asks why there are already people on ancient Earth. The girl draws a sword and asks the older brother mentor to be careful, since the spider is evil by Yuzong. She screams that since she dared to offend her mentor brother, she will die by her hand and strikes. The lilac-haired man looks at her strangely, clearly not understanding why she is doing this. The spider dodges the blow. Feng Zia shouts at her to be careful. The pink-haired one says that the evil spirits of Bai Yuzong activate their abilities. The spider calls the black jade spiders and angrily says that her name is Zhu Yunayan, not evil spirits. The pink-haired one tells the brother mentor to be careful, since she has already reached the level of Kailun. He asks her not to worry, as he has his own way and pulls out a sword. The lilac-haired man rushes to the attack. The girl supports him and asks him to kill the evil spirits. Zhu Yunayan asks to see what his abilities are. However, the purple-haired man points the sword at Feng Zia and says that if she doesn't want him to hurt her man, she should do whatever he says. Feng Zia mutters that he is just a bystander. The guy with the ponytail says that the mentor brother deserves to be called that, since he manages the situation so easily. The pink-haired one screams at the evil spirits to bow their heads. The lilac-haired man apologizes for the fact that his method is not perfect, but the ancient land is connected with his luck in the life of the Chengchu Valley, so he made this decision. Zhu Yunayan says that she really is not the evil spirits of Bai Yuzong, but the purple-haired one interrupts her and shouts that you don't even have to strain to understand who she is, because her clothes, appearance, and techniques reveal her personality. Feng Zia asks to be allowed to speak and says that he does not know what kind of evil spirits Bai Yuzong is and what grievances he has, but he does not like when a sword is pointed at him. He breaks the weapon with a flick of his finger. The brunette dusts off the opponent's clothes and apologizes, saying that he attacked the wrong one, and then throws him to his comrades. Feng Zia thinks he has very poor control. He searches for balls of light on the ground and realizes that they fall out whenever he defeats an enemy. The guy with the ponytail asks if everything is okay. The lilac-haired man examines the fragment of a weapon and says that it is a gift from his master. Zhu Yunayan says she just wanted to warn them that Feng Zia is stronger than her. The purple-haired man bows and says that the younger generation of Bai Kanghai does not know about Mount Tai and asks where the elder came from. A gold bar appears above Feng Zia's head and he asks what level he has reached. The white-haired man says that his levels of spirituality are not open and he is an ordinary person, but this brick has power reaching the realm of Tao Tai. The guy with the ponytail asks if this is really the king of the Tao Tai kingdom. Yellow-eyed asks what these fools are talking about and what this world has come to, since now any chicken is king. Feng Zia thinks that times have changed and in 3,000 years it is possible to create a civilization from scratch. Also, it can disappear at any moment. The pink-haired woman screams that you can't believe this liar, and he definitely did not reach the kingdom of Tao Tai. The guy with the ponytail calls out to her, calling her sister Lin, that he remembered that this charge of the Tao Tai kingdom was big and he had too small a brick. Sister Lin shouts that she will now let this fake show her true face and throws a talisman at Feng Zia, which is stuck on his forehead. The brunette asks what kind of thing it is. The white-haired man replies that this Shihong Fu is a luxury for such a person, but, nevertheless, it has little effect on spiritual people above the level of Tao Tai. Sister Lin shouts that now one of them is tied to Shu Hong Fu, and they can use the opportunity to deal with them. Feng Zia lazily removes the talisman from his forehead and asks who said he won't be able to move now. All three of them shout that he has really reached the level of Tao Tai. The brunette says that his mood is starting to deteriorate. He takes off and punches Sister Lin in the face, asking where she wants to hide. She suddenly disappears, crumbling into fragments and, transformed into a beautiful long-haired girl in open clothes, says that the young man is too rude and it hurts her. Feng Zia blushes and stares at the girl who says she is really curious and how they were able to find someone. She calls herself the evil Beiyuzong by the name of Yang Wuyu. The guys ask how their fellow student sister can be the evil spirits of Beiyuzong. Feng Zia rubs her nose and says that her tricks and illusions can deceive them, but not him, since he feels rotten inside her. The lilac-haired man thinks that everyone knows about the insidious evil spirits of Beiyuzong, but does not understand how a brunette can feel rot inside. Yang Wuyu asks again. The young man says that, to be precise, she is very rotten, and it doesn't matter if they use different techniques 3 or 5 times, even if they secretly use the Kai sword or Shihong Fu. He is ready for everything and there is only one truth, and she deliberately spoils it. Yang Wuyu says that in this case he will show him his true skills and releases a lot of tapes. Feng Zia squeezes them in her fist and says it's useless and she won't be able to defeat him. Yang Wuyu runs away and shouts that she didn't say she wanted to defeat him. The brunette advises her to give up, as she has nowhere to run. The girl jumps off a cliff and says goodbye to him, asking him to remember her name. He watches her fall off the cliff. The lilac-haired man asks why the evil spirits of Beiyuzong escaped. Feng Zia thinks that something is wrong and she is still nearby. He turns on his special vision and sees streams of dark energy behind the tree. The brunette asks the evil spirits not to hide and come out. Yang Wuyu comes out and says that a little more and she would have deceived him. Zhu Yunayan says she looks cool. Feng Zia says that this is the person who hates to lose. The spider asks who he's talking to. The young man turns around and sees two Zhu Yunayan asking each other how she dared to possess her. Feng Zia realizes that one of them is a fake. The girls start fighting and tie each other up with cobwebs. The brunette looks at it enthusiastically and grins. The white-haired man says that he is really worried. He pokes a rag in the young man's face, telling him not to humiliate himself. Ju Yunayan asks if Yang Wuyu really thinks that he can turn into her by deception and how, from the point of view of the game, she can be her. The spider binds Yang Wuyu tightly with a web so that she moans in pain. Yang Wuyu disappears. Ju Yunayan stops Feng Zia, who is about to rush after him. The lilac-haired man asks where she went. The brunette replies that the evil spirits escaped because of her negligence. The lilac-haired man thanks the brunette for his help and says that, as you know, the evil spirits of Beiyuzong are succubus, and they are all evil, and if it were not for him, their sister would become more and more cruel. The guy with the ponytail says he's in critical condition, and they'd better get back to the valley. The lilac-haired man replies that they are here to find an opportunity to revitalize the valley and how they can give it up because of a minor injury. Feng Zia says that this is a wasteland and what chance can we even talk about. He advises not to waste your time and go and get cured. The lilac-haired man very sadly asks if heaven really wants to kill his valley. The guy with the ponytail asks him not to kill himself so much and that he will definitely find a way. The brunette thinks that this young man clearly lacks chicken soup for the soul. He asks him if there is a great treasure in the world or what is the most important heavenly treasure of the valley. The lilac-haired one asks what it is. Feng Zia replies that this is a man and begins to tell that God gives everyone an opportunity. But not everyone can choose. Fate is predetermined by God. But everyone has the right to choose. The road of life does not have to be hard. He needs to go forward and the road will spread out before him. And when the path is inaccessible, you need to learn to turn and to untie knots when you can't untie. Learn to forget, because fate is built on the move. He thinks old people's notes really help. The young man is in shock, then shouts that he understood everything. Feng Zia asks what he understood. He replies that the path of spiritual practice is like swimming against the current and the road will continue only if you do not stop. The lilac-haired man declares that staying in the Chengchu Valley will only limit this and when he returns to Shanmen, he will resign from the post of chief disciple. The brunette starts spitting and thinks, did he really understand his chicken soup and that he wants to slap him in the face to sober him up. The guy with the ponytail cries and says that he can't leave and that the Xuanwu Imperial Palace will look at the Chengchu Valley with condemnation again. And if he leaves, what will become of the valley? Feng Zia asks what is wrong with their valley and why the Imperial Palace of Xuanwu will be angry with them. The lilac-haired one says that this is a long story and that the Imperial Palace of Xuanwu dominated the world. And the source of his power was not far away, in the first holy place of the Chengchu Valley. Years passed, everyone lived like this, and they kept everyone in fear. But 300 years ago, their main disciple deserted, high-ranking officials suffered heavy losses, the valley immediately fell from the top to the bottom, and the Imperial Palace took advantage of it. The guy with the ponytail says that if Big Brother leaves Chengchu, the valley will be considered a traitor again. The lilac-haired man says that he betrays the law of death and devotes himself to service. Feng Zia doesn't understand why the situation has become so serious so quickly. He thinks that when you go through such things, you feel very bad and chicken soup can do harm. No matter what he did, Chengchu would change sooner or later. Now there are three options. Chengchu Valley was originally the best choice until he caused an accident with his chicken soup and now the elders at the door want to kill him. A trip to the Imperial Palace of Xuanwu will certainly lead to a political struggle, and the tiger companion may lose his head. This world seems to have no chance, and therefore he is afraid to die of hunger. Feng Zia tells himself to calm down, because it looks like another mission in the game and Emperor Liver will bring everything to an end. He hugs the lilac-haired man and says that he has recently appeared here and he needs a place to stay. He thinks that Feng Zia's gaze is warm, like his father's. The brunette says that it is possible to go to the Chengchu Valley for a while, and visit the cultivators of that era and asks what he thinks about it. The purple-haired man shouts with tears in his eyes that the elder's mercy is unforgettable, and that if his help is needed in the future, then Bai Kanghai will immediately go to help. He asks when they're leaving. Feng Zia says that you need to prepare first. The white-haired man thinks that he is still quite a child. At the same time, on the ancient earth, another white-haired man, the Lord of the Ashes of the Sea, is sitting on the seal and exclaims that the ancestor has completely gone mad, because not only did he not receive the boy's body, but also lost a lot of energy, and now this boy is going to run away with another. But there is still a chance, and he will teach him with his own hands. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea is going to stick needles into a rag doll. A woman appears and says that the third generation of the Yan family welcomes the first generation lord. The man thinks it's really her. Yang Wuyu bows to the Lord of the Ashes of the Sea and says that the younger generation of Yang welcomes the older one. The white-haired man asks if this girl is really the heiress of the Yang family. Yang Wuyu says that she is the 41st generation of the Yang family and that her family is very much looking forward to the return of the ancestor. He rejoices that he is remembered even after 3,000 years. Yang Wuyu suggests that the man use the secret space to explore it with her. The white-haired one thinks that the little girl can have fun outside, but is still very respectful. He says that the place, the trap, where everyone has fallen, is not a secret kingdom, but a huge set of seals at his feet. Yang Wuyu asks again. The man says that the villain who sealed him is extremely cunning and he not only suppressed the ancestor, but also made these seals with his own eyes. No matter how much power the ancestor has accumulated, all of it will be absorbed by 90%, and this is equivalent to fighting with oneself. He thinks that his only remaining strength has been absorbed by Fengxia, and there is no way he will tell his shame to the younger ones. On ancient Earth, everyone approaches the portal. Fengxia says that the elder and the girl Zhu do not have to accompany him. Zhu Yunayan says that she is not seeing him off at all, but following him to eat. She snuggles up to the blushing young man and says she will go with him. The brunette asks why she wanted to kill him earlier. Zhu Yunayan replies that it's because he turned her avatar into a kebab. She remembers that she wanted to kill him. Fengxia screams in horror at her not to say such things as easily as about paying for utilities. The spider says that if she kills him, she will have nothing to eat. The young man says that she is really not very smart. Whitehair says that monsters respect strength, but they don't use their brains when they need to, and he will be able to feel it better when they come out of the secret space. Fengxia says that he needs to leave the secret space and, hugging the white-haired man tightly, shouts that he should wait for him and that he will definitely come back and save him. The man shouts for him to get out soon. Fengxia says they will see each other again. The white-haired man asks him to leave and not come back. The brunette is about to pass through the portal, but the energy of the white-haired man sticks to his forehead. They are attracted to each other and pulled into a kiss. The man swears. They fall out of the portal, still kissing, and immediately begin to spit. Fengxia is amazed that the white-haired man was able to get out even though he was sealed. Inside the seal, the white-haired man joyfully shouts that his avatar was able to leave from there. Yang Wuyu asks if the ancestor could have left this place. The man exclaims joyfully that after 3,000 years his path is finally free. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea creates a fire and shouts that the ban has been lifted and the Lord of the Sea will be free today, and that no one can restrain him anymore. He tries to destroy the seal circle, but it remains in place. Yang Wuyu says there is something wrong with this circle. The white-haired one looks at him and says that everything is bad and orders the pink-haired one to step aside right now. A huge lightning strikes the man. Yang Wuyu, who jumped away, calls out to the elder. The white-haired one says that this villain was able to catch the ancestor here, but it's strange that he didn't fight him. The man's hair now looks like a sheep's head, and Yang Wuyu looks at him strangely. He says that she shouldn't worry, since this technique couldn't harm the ancestor, and although the ancestor's avatar may come out, but the deity is still trapped, and whether it has something to do with Fengxia's child. The girl says that in order to greet the ancestor, she worked very hard, and everything turned out like this. The white-haired one tells her not to get discouraged, and even though the ancestor can't leave here, he can give her advice on her practice so that the power of the Yang family grows. Yang Wuyu thanks him. He says that he will give her the knowledge of the 3 floating dreams, but she will have a mission, after training. Teach Fengxia a lesson and be sure to provide him with its advantages and disadvantages. Fengxia and his men are going to the Chengchu Valley. The driver reports that they have arrived in the city of Xinsha. Bai Kanghai says that a fellow student sister has joined them since they moved to this city. He thinks they must have given her a chance to impersonate someone else. Fengxia says that since then, the evil spirits have been with them all the time, and she had the opportunity to communicate with their real sister. If their sister is still alive, then it is very likely that she is hidden in the city of Xinsha. He asks the lilac-haired man to tell about what his sister really is, what kind of character she has, in order not to be deceived again. Bai Kanghai says that she can only be praised, as she is as soft and quiet as a crane. Fengxia asks if he is talking about himself. Bai Kanghai says that his fellow student sister has an outstanding talent, and a gentle personality, and from the youngest to the oldest, out of many ordinary students, it is hardly possible to find someone who does not like their little sister. The guys together say that she has always ranked 3rd in the list of the most desirable Taoists for marriage, and they must definitely find a sister. Suddenly, a pink-haired girl appears and shouts that she has finally found them and asks where they were and why they left her alone in Xinsha. Bai Kanghai shouts that she is really their sister Lin and the evil spirits did not take her. Sister Lin says she doesn't understand what they're talking about. Fengxia asks Zhu Yunayan if she smelled anything, The brunette replies that her smell is very similar to the smell of evil spirits. The young man says that he needs to scan her and turns on a special vision. Sister Lin thinks he has learned a lot from the knowledge of 3 floating dreams. The white-haired man thinks that really everything will work out the first time. Zhu Yunayan asks if she is a changed evil spirit. Feng Zia replies that he doesn't think it's a disguise again this time. The spider sniffs her hand and assumes that these girls just have a similar smell. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea thinks that his accelerated training is bearing fruit. Bai Kanghai hugs the pink-haired woman by the shoulders and excitedly asks what she is doing here if she is attacked by evil spirits. Sister Lin asks if her mentor brother didn't say that it was dangerous for her to do research and it would be better to stay in the city. And what happened to the evil spirits? The purple-haired man turns to the cart and calls out to Feng Zia, who gives him a thumbs up. Bai Kanghai smiles and says that it must really be Lin's fellow student. He tells her that he is very glad that she is alright and now he can safely leave the Chengchu Valley and travel freely. The pink-haired girl asks in fright if the brother mentor wants to go against the clan and faints. The guys are talking anxiously and trying to bring her to her senses. Zhu Yunayan says she still thinks the girl is very strange. Feng Zia replies that they will be watching her. Soon the pink-haired woman comes to her senses and asks if the lilac-haired man was joking and this joke can reach the master. Bai Kanghai says that this is really not a joke and upon returning to the Chengchu Valley, he will tell the master everything. He offers her to introduce her to those he met on ancient Earth. Bai Kanghai says that on the right is the elder Feng Zia, the master of Taoism. On the left is Zhu Yunayan, she is the elder's companion. And in the middle is something like the elder's battle pet. The Lord of the Dust of the Sea yells that his sea dust is not some kind of thing. Sister Lin asks if Feng Zia has a companion. He replies that not really. Zhu Yunayan asks if the companion can eat. The white-haired man looks at them very displeased. The pink-haired girl confusedly says that it's very cool. Feng Zia thinks that such a beautiful girl is interested in him. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea thinks that he is ready to be captured by the beauty that the ancestor prepared. The next day they arrive at the Chengchu Valley. Master Lei Xiao asks if Bai Kanghai understands what he is talking about, because he knows that this is a betrayal. The lilac-haired man answers with a bow that he understands. The old man's hand is covered by a stream of energy and he says that his master's disciple wants to leave the clan because of Feng Zia's instigation. The brunette does not understand why everyone in this world wants to arrange a showdown with him. Master Lei Xiao shouts that Feng Zia taught his disciple the word betrayal and then he really needs to entertain him as a dear guest. The old man says that he has been practicing with a sword for a very long time and his heart is in his eyes and he does not need any bulky things. Lights appear in the master's eyes and he strikes. Bai Kanghai asks him to stop since it's only the 6th elder and Feng Zia isn't there. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea waves a barbecue and says he wants more. Master Lei Xiao attacks Feng Zia with the secret swords of spring and autumn technique. Kai blades explode behind him. The old man shouts that Feng Zia has struck him. Bai Kanghai says that the young man did not move at all, and he forgot to put on his mirrors. The master shouts that he does not need any mirrors. He has been practicing with a sword for a long time, and he does not need any bulky things and attacks the 6th elder, who is eating a watermelon. Bai Kanghai asks him to stop since Feng Zia is not there. Zhu Yunayan asks if he is blind. Feng Zia replies that he has severe myopia and is really half blind. Master Lei Xiao asks if Feng Zia is a descendant of Lao Shitsu. The brunette introduces himself and says that some of his actions have affected, but the man strikes and shouts at him to admit it, at least after tasting his sword again. Feng Zia says that the master called this slap a sword. He frantically searches for the white-haired one, not believing that this thing could defeat him. At this time, outside, the Lord of the Ashes of the Sea chastises Yang Wuyu, reminding her that he ordered to seduce him and not reveal his identity. The pink-haired one says that she had no choice, since Feng Zia's thoughts are completely focused on the spider. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea asks where the thing she was supposed to find is. Yang Wuyu says that she was found overnight, just as the ancestor ordered. She gives him a beautiful blue ring. The white-haired one thinks that this is really a soul improvement ring. In the depths of the Canlan Mountains, Master Lei Xiao and Feng Zia are fighting. The latter easily reflects the powerful blow of the first. The master begins to laugh and says that the young man is full of courage and did not cower before the thunderclap of the old man. Feng Zia says it's because Lei's friend made a lot of moves, but they were all weak, so he pretended to have poor eyesight and took him here away from other people. Feng Zia asks what secrets he is hiding. The white-haired man shouts that he wants more meat. Master Lei Xiao says that he wanted to thank Feng Zia, although he does not know his goals. But his disciple met the evil spirits of Beiyuzong, and if it were not for him, they could all have died. The brunette thinks that, fortunately, no one told that Bai Kanghai's injury was inflicted by him. The master says that he has long wanted to take his disciple out of the clan and hinted at it many times, but he did not understand. With his talent, Bai Kanghai can go to the best school and get a great education. Feng Zia asks how the purple-haired one got into the clan. Master Lei Xiao says that very simply, he saved him from starvation during his journey and gave him some buns. He pulls out the bottle and takes a big swig. Since then, Bai Kanghai has fallen in love with Chengchu Valley. The brunette says that now he wants to leave her. The old man replies that it's because he wants to go to the outside world to save the Chengchu Valley, and that's the best way, and he shouldn't come back. They have been fighting for generations and still have not been able to free themselves. Maybe they will never be able to do it, and if Bai Kanghai stays here, he will waste his talent. Feng Zia asks if he is so confident in such a future. The master says that when the Chengchu Valley instantly fell from the peak, it was profitable, and they would never allow it to be reborn. The young man mentions the imperial palace of Xuanwu. The old man says that the eyes and ears of the enemy are hidden in the valley. Feng Zia asks what techniques Xuanwu Palace uses and says that he has a way for them to detect spies. Master Lei Xiao asks if he thinks that the water in the valley is muddy. The brunette says that Chengchu Valley and he are similar, so he will help them. He thinks that if Lei's friend agrees, then he can stay with Chengchu's students and maybe find out the causes of the light balls. The master advises him to leave here with Bai Kanghai so that the Chengchu Valley will not be involved in his death. Feng Zia shouts that he really has a way. The old man creates a sword and says that he will come and check if the young man has this skill. Feng Zia easily evades and says that this is an amazing power. With one blow, he knocks the sword out of the master's hand and asks what Lei's friend thinks of him now. Master Lei Xiao says that he has terrifying physical strength, which means that the sea has not lied and people in the Taoist world take it for granted. But teacher Xu bluntly said that with the current situation in the Chengchu Valley, it would be very difficult to convince people that a strong Taoist master had suddenly appeared, and if he really wanted to help them, he should let the teacher read his real thoughts. Master Lei Xiao creates a wall of mirrors and says that the amazing ability of his sword will show him the heart of a young man and asks him not to be offended, as it is very necessary. Feng Zia thinks he really wants to help the Chengchu Valley, but he definitely can't reveal the specifics of his strength. Feng Zia concentrates the energy of the Hongmeng Lotus and breaks the wall of mirrors that Master Lei Xiao erected with Kai flows. He flies into the air, and the old man, bleeding and kneeling, realizes that the young man has completely smashed his sword. Feng Zia descends and picks up a glowing ball from the ground, rejoicing at its appearance. He says that now he understands what kind of energy the sword brings. The brunette squeezes the ball in his hand. The heart sword technique is the spiritual power brought by the heart sword and allows you to reflect human nature. Feng Zia's pupils flash purple, and he says that if Lei's friend has finished playing, then it's his turn. The master screams, "How is this even possible?" A wall of mirrors appears again, each reflecting Feng Zia, each with a different facial expression. The old man looks at it in fright. Feng Zia says that there is no need to be surprised, because this is a real heart sword. In the building, Bai Kanghai wonders why they still haven't returned and hopes that Feng Zia will be merciful, and Master Lei Xiao won't cause him trouble. Zhu Yunayan says she is very hungry and wonders where the dining room is in the Chengchu Valley. Bai Kanghai does not pay attention to the girl who repeats one word hungry and decides to go and check what kind of situation his elders have. They're leaving the building. The sixth elder's disciple, Yi, appears and says if this is the same Bai Kanghai who failed in the clan and where he is going this time. The lilac-haired man viciously pushes him away and tells him to get lost, since he doesn't have time for him. The blonde man says that the young man has become very arrogant and after such a long time he is afraid that the liar was killed. Bai Kanghai breaks down and rushes at Yi, shouting at him not to spread rumors and that Feng Zia is not a liar. They start fighting. A crowd immediately gathers, saying that Brother Bai and Brother Yi are fighting again and who allowed them to do it. Zhu Yunayan walks around them and asks where the dining room is and what she really wants to eat. Yi knocks Bai Kanghai to the ground and grabs his tail, saying that while he was on a treasure hunt, his strength has grown noticeably and now he cannot win. A wheel appears above the blonde man's head and he says that this spiritual ring means that he has reached the kingdom of the wheel of the beginning. The spiritual ring is the sign of the practitioners of the kingdom of the wheel of the beginning, which shows that the practitioner has cultivated 8 spiritual rings. Yi says that today he will help his teacher get rid of the purple-haired one. A bare foot is pressed into the blonde man's face, and Zhu Yunayan says that no one hears her. There are 8 spiritual rings hanging behind her, and the crowd is screaming and amazed. Zhu Yunayan orders to tell her immediately where the dining room is. Feng Xie says that nothing terrible has happened, because he is just experimenting with new spiritual abilities and is not yet very good at managing them. Master Lei Xiao shouts that he has just learned the art of the heart sword and asks how long he has been learning how to wield a sword. The brunette replies that he has just learned and has never practiced before. The master is wondering if it is possible to comprehend the art without practice, because many generations of Chengchu have been training for many years, but only he alone was able to master this skill. He shouts that there are rumors about an organism called a spiritual body. Born with a naturally outstanding spirit, he understands magic techniques in a moment and learns them just as quickly. And isn't that what Feng Xie means? The brunette confusedly mutters that he is not as strong as in the rumors, and cannot learn everything. He thinks that he did not expect that there is such a legend in this world and will be able to explain his abilities later. The young man says that in addition, he will be able to help the Chengchu Valley with his abilities. Master Lei Xiao thinks that he pisses off Feng's friend so many times. His power is very great, but he did not use it because he was afraid of harming him, and such a person can definitely be trusted. The man thanks him and asks what his plan is to find spies. Feng Xie says that with his abilities, he can join the disciples of the Chengchu Valley and then use expertise to find out if any of them have used techniques outside of Chengchu to figure out which one of them is undercover. The master shouts that this is wonderful and that he will help him in every way. Feng Xie asks you to trust him. After a while, in the courtyard of the head of the clan, the young man says that he was not there for very long, and this girl is already doing such things with others. Zhu Yunayan beats he, who wheezes that he is dying. The girl tells him to admit defeat and take her to the dining room before she finishes him off completely. Dian shouts that he never gives up. Feng Xie swears at the blonde and, throwing him as far away as possible, shouts that he is not worthy even of this girl's legs. A golden ball with a flower falls on the brunette's hand. He says that it's not bad and that it wasn't easy to get this attribute. Besides, it also has a flower on it. Zhu Yunayan and Bai Kanghai call Feng Xie and run up to him. Yi comes back and shouts that Feng Xie is a liar and he shouldn't be like that, because people in the Chengchu Valley are not like that. The brunette says it's fair. The crowd starts shouting that Brother Yi is right and should not be allowed to behave like this in the Chengchu Valley, that he is a liar, and should be dealt with as soon as possible. A blue-haired young man appears and asks his brothers to let him pass. Feng Xie asks who he is. The blue-haired man opens his fan and says that he is under the guidance of the fifth elder. His name is Mo Yushu and he has come to challenge Feng Xie. Mo Yushu invites him to talk about life and death and asks if he is ready for battle. Yi advises the brunette to admit defeat as soon as possible, because Brother Mo is from a rich and influential family, where treasures appear one after another, and most of the students lose to him in battles. Zhu Yunayan makes a dissatisfied sound, and Feng Xie presents a huge amount of treasures and joyfully shouts that he should come here, and that he accepts his challenge. Mo Yushu suggests Feng Xie to start. He rushes to the attack. Bai Kanghai anxiously shouts for Mo Yushu to be very careful, and take out all his protective treasures. The blue-haired man creates a golden mirror and thinks that there is no need to get all the protective treasures at all, because this is the most ordinary fraudster, and Bai Kanghai exaggerates, because Feng Xie will not be able to do anything to him. A simple defense and protection on the heart will be enough, and it will be hard for him to get close to him. Mo Yushu throws 3 golden talismans at the brunette. An explosion is heard. The crowd cheers that they have finally dealt with this fraudster. Feng Xie apologizes and smashes the blue-haired man's protective mirror with one blow. Feng Xie asks to disappoint him a little. 2 glowing balls called Sacred Heart of the Ninth Dragon and Hidden Dragon Energy appear. Feng Xie thinks that all the names are related to dragons and that he may have stumbled upon the people of the Xuanwu Imperial Palace, and that most likely the situation in the Chengchu Valley is much worse than Master Lei Xiao said. But the royal family's stake is very high and it is still unclear to him what exactly they want from the Chengchu Valley. Master Lei returns and angrily asks why the students have started brawling again and where their cohesion is. He shouts at them to immediately stop making his guests look bad. Feng Xie thinks that the old man came on time. Yi complains that Feng Xie is causing problems. Master Lei Xiao orders him to stop immediately and apologizes to the brunette for his stubborn youth. Feng Xie begins to show off and pretend to be wise with experience, saying that sometimes you can learn from the younger generation, because activity to stretch your bones is always useful. Master Lei Xiao tells the assembled students that this is a respected guest, and they should not treat him without respect. They reluctantly obey. The old man invites Feng Zia to his residence, and he agrees. Finally, he says that anyone who wants to learn from him will be accepted and their defeat will depend on the purpose for which they come to him. Yi becomes furious. Mo Yushu tells him not to worry and that this guy will not be easy to deal with and they need to prepare carefully. Feng Zia and Master Lei Xiao are sitting in the guest room in the Qianghua courtyard. The old man says that the sacred heart of the ninth dragon and hidden dragon energy are indeed unique techniques of the Xuanwu Imperial Palace, and that he never expected that the child Mo Yushu would turn out to be a spy. Feng Zia drinks tea and says that there is no need to jump to conclusions and that today he intends to provoke Mo Yushu and he will definitely find helpers to annoy him. Master Lei Xiao says that friend Feng sees and hears everything. The brunette says that you need to wait a little and then destroy them. Feng Zia lies in a hot bath and says with pleasure how good and warm he is and how long he has not done this. He mumbles that teacher Lei Xiao is only pretending to be rude and shallow, but is actually very reasonable, and even arranged for him to have a bath, and that taking a bath is the highest pleasure in his life. A figure appears outside the door and the young man thinks that she has finally returned and now he has the opportunity to show off his figure to her. Due to the absorption of light attributes, Feng Zia gained muscle mass. He half leans out of the tub and calls out to the newcomer, calling her a baby. Yang Wuyu enters and says that she brought the young man clean clothes. Feng Zia covers herself with her hands and shouts incomprehensibly why she came and not Zhu Yunayan. Yang Wuyu giggles and says that the elder should not be shy. She slips on purpose and falls into the tub, hovering over the young man. The brunette hiccups in surprise. Yang Wuyu asks if she is sleeping since she is so close to the elder. Feng Zia shouts that it is too close. A man and a woman should not touch each other and she should go outside faster. The pink-haired one thinks that he is still a very inexperienced virgin and it is best to deal with such people. She says she doesn't want to leave because she's going to say something. The brunette thinks with horror whether the girl is going to confess to him. Zhu Yunayan opens the doors and happily says she's back, calling the guy a Zia. She looks at them blankly. Feng Zia screams in fright that everything is not as she thought and thinks that now the image of the innocent Feng Zia is destroyed. Zhu Yunayan says that she is very hungry and does he know where to get an oriental crab with lime, since she really wants to eat it. Feng Zia asks again and thinks that this girl is not too smart. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea appears and shouts that he has just heard something about an oriental crab with lime and where it is. The brunette happily asks where he has been all this time and he thought he was beaten by teacher Lei. The white-haired man says that he is very hungry and in search of food, as people are not in too much of a hurry to bring them an oriental crab with lime. Yang Wuyu gets out of the tub and says that it is impossible to get crabs now, because the kingdom of Xuanwu is located in the northwest of the continent, and the kingdom of Wanyao is near the sea, in the southeast. Both kingdoms are bordered by the Canlan Mountains, and the Chengchu Valley is located between the mountains. All areas near the sea are occupied by the Demon Kingdom, and since the Chengchu Valley is located inland, far from the eastern sea, it is absolutely impossible to get crabs. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea is outraged why he has not heard anything about the Demon Kingdom. Yang Wuyu says that when all the energy on earth and sky dried up, people could no longer resist the gifted demons, and the richest southeastern region was taken away from them in order for the Demon Kingdom to be located there. The white-haired man says that he did not expect that in 3,000 years demons would ride on the neck of humanity. Energy has become so little that no one is able to become a celestial and save the unfortunate ancestor's body. Feng Zia pats him on the head and tells him not to lose hope, because even if the world changes, he must cheer up. Yang Wuyu puts a ring on the young man's finger and asks him to try it on. The white-haired one says that this soul ring can support and warm the soul, and the ancestor is weak in spirit now. When Feng Zia is unwell, he can rest in this ring in the future. Some time ago, during the battle, the Lord of the Ashes of the Sea tells the pink-haired girl that this child, Feng Zia, is very strange and she needs to give him the soul ring as soon as possible so that he can carefully observe him and find out all the necessary details. He asks where is the girl she has reincarnated into. Yang Wuyu says that Bai Yuzong would not be so admired by the whole world if they strictly adhered to the teachings of their ancestors, and that the world does not have the spirit of Ling, and Ling is always her. Yellow-eyed happily says that it's fine. Yang Wuyu decides to stick to the original seduction plan. Feng Zia in white clothes is sitting on a chair and admiring the ring. He tells the white-haired man that this ring looks very expensive and it's wrong that he got it for free. The yellow-eyed man asks why the young man did not return it immediately or did not see that it was a real treasure. Fengxia says that young Wu Yu gave the ring and immediately ran away, and he was wearing only pajamas and running after her was a bad idea. The Lord of the Ashes of the Sea exclaims that since the brunette wants to return it, now the ring will belong to the ancestor and he will be able to have a great rest with it. Fengxia says that if Senior wants to join him, it would be nice to ask his opinion first. The next morning, someone calls the young man and knocks on his door. Zhu Yunayan is sleeping upside down, hanging from a spider web. The young man gently pats her on the head, and then opens the doors and thinks that only yesterday he talked about it and really so many people want to give him their attributes. In front of him is a very tall guy with a ponytail. Fengxia, frightened and amazed, asks who he is. The young man apologizes for the trouble and says that his name is Fan Yu. He came to challenge him and hopes that Fengxia will follow him to the battleground. The brunette thinks that this guy is much stronger than yesterday's Yi and Mo Yushu, and it should be said that they are not at the same level at all, and it looks like something can come out of this. The young man says that he is not against the fight. They go to the Chengchu Valley duel ground. A crowd gathers. Fan Yu bows and says that he, Fan Yu's disciple, is applying for a duel with Fengxia and hopes to get permission. Fengxia looks at the open doors of the room, from which energy flows. The earth begins to shake, and the young man asks what is happening to it. Suddenly, the platform begins to rise up, and the brunette asks in fright, is such a big battle needed for a simple exchange of experience? Fan Yu smiles badly. The crowd is shouting that brother Fan Yu and Feng are finally coming up on stage, and that brother is a real man. Fengxia thinks that something feels wrong, and can this good-natured guy really use any tricks? A wall of flame covers the sides of the platform. Fan Yu says, grinning maliciously, that this is not a platform for duels, but a platform of life or death, and that it was she who opened the mode of an honest duel, because a higher-level practitioner will be forcibly suppressed to a lower level of the opponent. The weapons and equipment they use will also be limited. And the same applies to any Taoist techniques and spiritual treasures, because the platform of life and death suppresses and equalizes everything. Fang Yu's fists are on fire, and he shouts that by fighting face to face, he can defeat the youth after his 6-day cultivation practice. Fengxia laughs loudly. The guy angrily shouts that he probably did not understand the meaning of an honest regime and behaves very arrogantly. The brunette says that he understood everything and Fan Yu can try it right now. Mo Yushu, Yi and other students stand in front of the screen and watch the duel. Yi tells brother Mo that this treasure has just revealed to them that he is used to peeping. The crowd mutters how unfair and wrong it is. Mo Yushu shouts that they are not thinking about that. On the platform, Fengxia tells Fan Yu that if he has the skills, then he'd better use them all. The guy says he behaves very arrogantly before he dies. The brunette says that he is telling him the truth. Fan Yu shouts that this will be the last thing the young man will see in his life and he should close his mouth and enjoy the strongest form of all his efforts. The guy is completely engulfed by fire. A red bull appears above his head and he shouts that his new technique can fight even with the first level of the Celestials and is also invincible. So Fengxia better improve and practice in the next life. Fan Yu punches Fengxia in the chest, but his punch does not cause him the slightest harm. The brunette asks if his brother has had breakfast and asks him to add a little strength. Mo Yushu and Yi shout that he was unharmed. Fan Yu wonders how it is possible that his gloves disappeared along with his strength as soon as he approached the young man. He visibly shrinks and timidly asks to what realm Fengxia has risen. He sticks out his tongue and replies that he assumes that in a few months he will be able to open the first step in the realm of the Wheel of the Beginning. Fang Yu wonders how such a thing is even possible if he still has a few months left before the Kingdom of the Beginning Wheel, and why this Fengxia is so terrifyingly strong. Meanwhile, the young man asks if Fan's friend will continue to fight and if it's his turn. The guy is scared and asks the noble warrior to spare his life and that this was his serious mistake. Fengxia punches Fan Yu in the face and looks at the golden balls of light that appeared around him. The crowd is screaming. The brunette thinks that this is profitable blood, the attributes of the art of the blade and the fist method, and believes that he has found a pattern of obtaining attributes. Attribute dropout can be divided into two categories. Talents that fell out at the very beginning, such as essence of cheerfulness, speed, poison are attributes within the game. Skills such as 3 floating dreams, sacred heart are similar to techniques that need to be mastered inside the game. How these attributes fall out, the first depends on the skills possessed by his target, the second is related to his luck, but it also has to do with the power of the goal. The weaker the target, the less likely the attribute will drop, otherwise the probability increases. Fengxia thinks that unless Bai Kanghai, who doesn't see these balls, won't worry about his strength, And there is a stronger person who wants to challenge him, isn't there? Yi rushes into the sixth elder's room and shouts that this Feng Zia is very unusual, since his level is apparently lower than theirs. But he was able to defeat Fan Yu. Elder Liu Chuangyuan drinks tea and asks from where Lei Xiao and Bai Kanghai have such a character. The blonde man replies that he has heard that Feng Zia came from a secret space and his origin is unknown. The elder turns out to be a young man with long blonde hair and purple eyes. He says that this person is really a variable factor. Half an hour after the battle with Fan Yu in front of Cheng Chu's dining room, Feng Zia tells Zhu Yunyan that even though Master Lei Xiao told them they could eat whatever they wanted, she took absolutely all the baskets. The spider screams that she is happy. Sixth elder Liu Chuangyuan appears and says that judging by his appearance, he sees Feng Zia. The brunette asks who is in front of him, and thinks that this guy has a very familiar aura. Liu Chuangyuan introduces himself and says that he would like to invite him to Guzhong Wanyu Pavilion. Lotuses appear in the young man's eyes and he says that the elder has a familiar aura, and, it turns out, he also practices the art of the heart sword. Liu Chuangyuan asks how the brunette understood this. Feng Zia replies that he has his own methods and says that he heard that he and Master Lei had a very difficult relationship when they were young and when he met the girl Mu Yuan. They had a disagreement, and that although he is calm about such things, but Elder Liu he is ahead of everyone in his era. The blonde man says that there is no Mu Yuan girl and he hopes that Feng Zia clearly understands where the rumors are and will not believe them. Feng Zia says that you really shouldn't believe the rumors and wants to go to the Wanyu Pavilion as soon as possible. Upon arrival, the sixth elder invites them to come in. Zhu Yunyan is still walking around with a basket and eating. They come in, and the brunette says it's too dark in here to drink tea. Liu Chuangyuan snaps his fingers and the doors slam shut. Feng Zia and Zhu Yunyan turn around. The sixth elder says that this pavilion was built by hand using extremely durable materials and inscribed by ancient masters specifically to kill people of higher levels, and that even Rude Lei never so easily entered his pavilion Wanyu, and Feng Zia dared. He replies that it's because Elder Lei Xiao once told him that a person practicing the heart sword can't be bad. Liu Chuangyuan says that stubborn Lei has always been a simpleton, and he still believed him. A long sword appears in his hand and he attacks the breath of rain. Feng Zia's hands are covered with energy, and he thinks that these swords are very ferocious. And fortunately, he has become stronger lately, otherwise he would not have withstood this attack. The young man thinks that he has finally found a strong enough person who can help confirm his hypothesis about attributes. Feng Zia turns around and tells Zhu Yunyan to be careful, because this guy is much stronger than all the people they have met before, and if she doesn't take care, it will hurt. The girl is sitting on the floor and tells Zia that all her pies have fallen. The brunette thinks that this is a very bad omen and he urgently needs to find a way to stabilize her, because if she puts Liu Chuangyuan down, then he will not be able to get the attributes. Zhu Yunyan glares at the elder and repeats the word pies. Liu Chuangyuan says that, of course, to deal with people as strong as them, one sword will not be enough. However, if he uses all his swords at the same time, they will not be able to do anything about it, and that now he will be able to watch a good man kill him and lead the Chengchu Valley into order. Feng Zia offers him to make a bet. If he destroys his Wanyu Pavilion, then the elder will compensate for a month of food for the Yu girl, no less. Liu Chuangyuan holds up his sword and says that the young man will die right now and don't let him talk nonsense. Feng Zia says it's not bad and that no more jokes since it's a bet with Emperor Liver. Liu Chuangyuan attacks and yells at him to try it. Feng Zia is engulfed by blue energy. A lotus appears above his head and he creates blades on his hands, destroying the blades of the sixth elder. The Wanyu Pavilion lights up. A glowing pink ball appears in the air, and Feng Zia thinks that it is the same as with teacher Lei Xiao, also an attribute of the heart sword. He clutches the ball in his hand and says that Liu Chuangyuan has lost the bet. Addressing the spider, the young man says that since Elder Liu promised to pay for her food for a month, he asks her to forgive his little offense. Zhu Yunyan compares a basket of buns and other food and says he will listen to Azia and forgive this uncle. Liu Chuangyuan thinks what kind of terrifying power it is if he destroyed all the circles in Wanyu Pavilion with one blow. He asks who Feng Zia is and why, with such power, he decided to interfere in the affairs of the Chengchu Valley. Feng Zia scratches his head and replies that he was just passing by and was interested in learning more about the Chengchu Valley. The elder asks again. The brunette tells Liu Chuangyuan that with the exception of the head coach, who never appeared, no one in the Chengchu Valley is his opponent. And he heard that there were 5 powerful Taoists in the Xuan Wu royal family who were able to accumulate much more energy than he has, and this is quite enough to destroy Chengchu Valley. So why didn't they face the valley face to face, but use spies? And what is the royal family of Xuan Wu really afraid of? Liu Chuangyuan nervously bites his lip and remains silent, not wanting to answer. Feng Zia turns around and, waving his hand, says that if the sixth elder refuses to tell him everything he knows, then he can just go to the Xuan Wu family and, most likely, they will gladly accept him. He has no equal. In the games of the Emperor Liver, there are always not enough players in the team. Liu Chuangyuan's face is sweating and he is very nervous. He thinks it's not top secret and someone with some power knows a little, if anything, why the Xuan Wu kingdom should be afraid of him, and maybe he should tell everything in order to neutralize it. His strength seems to be equal to the realm of the Tower of Expression and he is their enemy, so it's too late to regret. Liu Chuangyuan shouts that this matter is not confidential at all and he will just tell him everything he knows and shakes the young man's hand. Feng Zia thinks that he could not restrain himself and says that he feels Elder Liu's sincerity and asks to let him go and tell him everything as soon as possible. They head into the depths of the Canlan Mountains and Liu Chuangyuan points his finger forward and asks the brunette to look there, since there is the largest force in the Chengchu Valley. Feng Zia puts his hand to his head and admiringly asks what kind of thing it is. The sixth elder says that this is Zhen Zong's treasure, the Chengchu Valley Bell. They see a huge bell at the top of the mountain. Liu Chuangyuan says that the war between the Xuan Wu royal family and the Chengchu Valley was extremely tense. But fortunately, the first generation of the valley created a treasure that can cover the world. And that treasure was the Chengchu Bell. About 695 years ago, before the first generation of Lin Zian went to study, this priceless treasure had already killed many enemies and laid the foundation for the first holy place in the Chengchu Valley. He proudly says that, according to legend, at the most dangerous moment, the Chengchu Bell will recover and kill all the enemies of the Chengchu Valley. Feng Zia says that this treasure of Chengchu, although tilted sideways, but it is still very outstanding. However, this bell has been here for almost 700 years, and could it be that it still works? He believes that since the dust layer is so thick, it can be considered that their maintenance of historical relics is not the best. Liu Chuangyuan says that Feng's friend is laughing in vain and this is an incomparable artifact, so why not support him? The sixth elder says that the first generation of Master Jiao Gu specialized in heavenly treasures, and his head spent his whole life and put a lot of effort into perfecting this bell, so that it simply cannot break due to the passage of time. Zhu Yunayan pokes his finger into the wall of the bell and a crack passes through it and a hole remains. She tells Feng Zia that the bell has broken. He says in surprise that he couldn't stand it after all. Liu Chuangyuan lets out a loud and mournful cry and feels the bell, breaking it completely. There is a huge hole in the Chengchu Bell. The elder asks how this is possible and, falling to his knees, says that he is the most pathetic person in the history of the Chengchu Valley. Feng Zia tries to calm him down and says that it's not his fault that this ancient relic was in such a bad condition. Liu Chuangyuan asks why. Knowing that the Chengchu Bell has lost its power, the emperor of the Xuan Wu kingdom has not done anything yet. Feng Zia says that this is probably because he decided that now is not the best time and is now waiting for the right moment. And when the Chengchu Valley Bell finally collapses, the emperor of the Xuan Wu kingdom will come and take them away. He looks at the hole in the bell with interest, and the elder says that without the bell, the Xuan Wu kingdom has a huge and undeniable advantage, and that the Chengchu Valley is going to go down in history. The brunette tells him not to be so pessimistic and to come and look at it. Zhu Yunayan looks inside the bell with admiration. Liu Chuangyuan is greatly amazed. Feng Zia points to something inside the bell and, grinning, says that it looks like their first generation left them far behind.